JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. So everything right now on the 16th of January is right on the cusp related to PPP, PPP2, PPP forgiveness, the economic injury disaster loan grant, as well as the employee retention tax credit, not to mention the sick leave tax credits, the family leave tax credits. Now, what I'm talking about here is that we do know what we're dealing with in the sense of we have the law that came into play on December 27th. We also know that we've been able to look at that. The SBA has released some in what they call interim final rules, IFRs. We also know that we have the applications and some additional information, rules, if you will, related to the applications of PPP. So I'm going to take this as a little bit of an opportunity to talk about where we're at right now. So when we're talking about PPP, the thing to note here is that it is a second round that is available to everyone, if you will. So for those that didn't apply for PPP, you're able to now apply. Those that applied for PPP, got PPP, didn't get enough, can reapply as long as they haven't achieved forgiveness. And then those that got PPP before, have the loan, regardless if it got forgiven or not, can then apply for what many of us are calling PPP2. But let's be clear, in the second round, that's the money that's coming out of the Consolidation Act that was just passed at the end of December 2020. That's the true second round. Now, when I say that is that if you're watching videos, be mindful of the video's time frame. Now, I'll tell you this, I took down, I don't even know how many videos, but I took down a bunch of videos that were related to the first round of PPP. So be mindful of videos that you're watching. I think I took down that was added up to about 500,000 views that I took down that in essence were obsolete. So be mindful of that. The other aspect is that when you go to the website for the SBA, I'll put a link in the body of this, which is just sba.gov/PPP. The PPP website there is, and make sure you do sba.gov. Okay, when you go to it, they revamped it here in the last 48 hours, which I'm loving it. But when you go, you're going to see first draw, second draw, then you'll see forgiveness. But for those of you that have not gotten any PPP, okay, you're going to go to first draw. If you are somebody that already got PP, regardless if it's forgiven or not, then you're going to go to second draw. The rules that you're following, if you're going to get your first draw, are the rules of the first draw, which follow the rules of when it came out originally out of the CARES Act. The second draw is, in essence, very, very similar rules of what came out of the CARES Act, with some caveats that go along with it. So I do have a playlist that I'm going to put in the body of this related to PPP2. Check those videos out, because we know that with the second draw, you have to show that there's been a decline in your gross receipts by at least 25% in any given quarter in 2020 compared to 2019. But there's all kinds of provisions if you haven't been in business all of 19, etc. Also, the way that you calculate it is the same for the second draw or the first draw, but when you're going to apply for the second draw, you're able to go with the higher of when you do the calculation based on 19 or do the calculation based on 20 in terms of your loan amount. Now, as it relates to the employee retention tax credit, we are waiting for some clarification really on one thing, I think, from the IRS, which is just for you that are going to be able to take advantage of the retroactive tax credit. And I'm going to put a link to my playlist on these tax credits. But those of you that are able to claim that 50% tax credit retroactive back to March 13th for the ERTC, or you weren't aware that you could take advantage of the sick leave or paid family leave tax credits that began April 1st, in essence, you are able to report those, get those, in essence, credits on your fourth quarter payroll report, which can be your 940 or it can be a Form 7200. Now, Form 7200 can't be filed after you file a Form 941. So I think really what we would want to know from the IRS is that there are millions and millions of small business owners, employers, that they have a payroll company that they already filed the Form 941 for fourth quarter, which means that you're technically not allowed to file Form 7200. So what's the remedy? Well, as of now, it's filing a Form 941X, but we should pause on that. Now, also with the PPP forgiveness, as we look at the website sba.gov/PPP, when you go to that main, you'll see a section related to forgiveness. The thing to note is that the forgiveness is the same for the first draw and the second draw. First draw meaning PPP based on the first original rules of PPP, and PPP 2.0, the second draw that's based on the rules of PPP 2.0, based on what I just told you and based on the videos that you will see. Now, with the forgiveness, the big thing that we're waiting on is the simplification form, which will be, in essence, a certification form. The certification form basically is for those that got $150,000 or less, and you're then able to certify that you use those funds properly and that you are achieving forgiveness based on the calculation. It is not automatic forgiveness. It is not blanket forgiveness. You still need to do the calculation. Now, with the forgiveness for PPP 1, whether it's you're getting PPP 1 now or were in the past, the forgiveness is, in essence, the same as it's always been in terms of the documentation that you need to provide. Now, if it's $150,000 or less, with a certification that is not yet available, that form, you don't have to provide any documents. However, with PPP2, that second draw, you have to prove that your gross receipts were down in the manner that was previously stated when you file for forgiveness, regardless of the dollar amount. So those are the two differences. I'll be curious to see if in a little bit, as in a few months from now, when we're past our 24 covered week period for PPP2, that they don't come out with a consolidated PPP forgiveness form. Now, where we stand right now is that if you have filed for forgiveness of PPP and have achieved it, well, you have a click that you're locked into, and most likely, as it stands now, you're going to be limited on the wages that you can count for the employee retention tax credit. Honestly, it's not even worth going through it to worry you about it, because I think the SBA and the IRS are going to resolve this little lock that happened for those of you that decided to go ahead and file and get forgiveness. Again, this is for employers. So part of what I'm getting at is we're talking about the ERTC. We need to sit tight for those of you that got forgiveness and you're having wages that qualify for the employee retention tax credit that's during your covered period. You'd want to sit tight until the IRS and the SBA, which I think is going to be any time now, comes out with clarification on how you go about it. Before any of you employers file for forgiveness that haven't, we would want the IRS and the SBA to also clarify for us, well, for that time period, the covered period, when we have wages, that if we're going to then use those wages for the employee retention tax credit, well, it right now, as it reads in the law, requires an election to elect those wages out for PPP forgiveness purposes and then allow them to be elected for the employee retention tax credit. So we need that additional information, as well as the IRS indicating if somebody already filed a 941, can they now just go ahead and file a Form 7200 for the simplicity of it. On the SBA grant, we know that there is not going to be another EIDL. None of that included another loan, another round of loans. What's included, though, is more money going back into the economic injury disaster loan advance, which is the grant. And what is that? Well, for those of you that applied for the EIDL during that process, for a period of time, you were able to be checking a box to allow you to qualify and receive up to $1,000 per employee, up to $10,000. Then there were those that applied for the EIDL, but that program, that advance or grant bucket of money ran out. So you weren't able to get it because of those purposes. So where we are right now is our understanding is that with the SBA, they will be obviously putting more money in the pot. So I did a seminar, so honored, on behalf of the Small Business Development Center in Northern Texas, which is out of the SBA, directly out of the CARES Act dollars that were set aside to help small businesses. And I was able to interact with the Small Business Administration folks. And what they had indicated is that, yes, as we understand it, that those that didn't get the full amount should be getting the full amount. Those that didn't have the opportunity to get the amount should get the amount. And then there will be money in that pot to then go towards those that are now applying for an EIDL loan. But what I think is key here is yet to know exactly how that process will go. It sounded as though, and I don't want to speak for the SBA because this was just in conversation, that was something shared with the public during the seminar. So I'm not giving you any secret information. It was made public during the seminar from the SBA. But what I'm telling you on that is that it does seem as though the SBA is going to contact you for those of you that didn't get the full amount or didn't get the amount while you were applying for the EIDL. What you should not do right now is apply for the EIDL until the SBA says, all right, here we go, here's how it's happening, and there's money in the pot. And there's not a way to go just apply at this moment for the EIDL grant. Okay, what you're applying for is a loan, and then the program is while you're waiting for your loan decision, you're getting the grant. It's not just going and getting the grant. So if you've already gotten the loan, you don't go reapply for another loan. If you just want the grant, you don't just go apply for a loan because it's applying for a loan. What you want to do is sit tight for a minute. Those of you that didn't get the full amount, those of you that didn't get any of it, or for those of you that are getting ready to apply for the EIDL, you can go for it. You probably would get still included. You might wait a minute. So the thing to note here, and the reason I'm being very clear on what the date is that everything's just right here. Okay, it's just right there. And it's just all we got to do is give the government a little bit more time to come out. So what I'm expecting is a flood of new and wonderful information in the coming weeks. So you've probably noticed on my channel, I haven't been posting any new videos. I've posted videos on what we knew, and I have put together some seminars if you'd like to see those videos. I also have a link in the body of this email where you can go to seminars that I've done showing you how to apply for the PPP, going through the calculations of these credits. So with the tax credits, it's just now, well, for those that have already filed a 941, now what? And then from the standpoint of the grants, it's just, well, how are we going to be communicated to that? Is there any action to take? There is going to be an emergency grant. It will be held or overseen by a different division, as I understand it, in the SBA. That may be a way that you can apply just for that grant if you're in a low income area. So what is this? Is we have a lot of good information. PPP, it opened on Monday the 11th for first draw with the smallest of banks. PPP2 opened on Wednesday the 13th of very small community type, nonprofit type of banking organizations. On Friday the 15th, the kind of medium, maybe small or medium-sized banks. All of my clients were going through banks here in Oklahoma that fit that bill. And so every single one of my clients, we got everybody applied for PPP2 before the close of business on Friday, the 15th. And then my understanding is that all the big banks will have things open. They might already be gathering up the information, taking application information, but that it will open wide open on Tuesday. Here's what you need to know is that it doesn't really matter when PPP opens for you at your bank. You need to be getting your information to them. So I've been talking about that since July. Is your bank participating? Do you qualify because of the 25% reduction? How much of it is your PPP2? And then getting those applications filled out. If your bank hasn't opened up taking applications yet, well, you can go to sba.gov/PPP and get the applications and pull together the information so that you have it ready to go. So with this being said, here's the last thing I thought that you would be interested in is that when you're looking at the websites, how do you know that it's been updated, right? Because you're looking at it, it's like, well, is this the latest information or not? So let's talk specific to the SBA. They've done a fabulous job that when you go to their website and now you're looking specifically at a document, let's go with the forgiveness applications or the first or second draw applications and those instructions. When you click on it, it then takes you to a landing page that shows you the date, but it then shows all the older dates and all the older versions as an FYI. So when you see that, you would know that you have the most recent version. So that's a key part of going to the SBA website, going through, in essence, their website to get to those forms to have the most up-to-date information. When you're at the IRS's website, they do a great job, but when you're on any page on the IRS website, go all the way to the bottom, and there'll be a date on there, and that is the date that they last updated that page. And it'll be the last, if they did any kind of update, it will indicate that down below. Also, when you're looking at IRS forms, okay, and it's the same with SBA forms, but let's talk specifically for those of us that are waiting on maybe new Form 7200, maybe a new Form 7200 set of instructions. Well, when you look at an IRS form at the very top, wherever it indicates the form number or the schedule number, right underneath it in parentheses, it'll indicate the date that it was last updated, right? So right now in Form 7200, it says March 2020. And then when you're looking at rules, typically it's going to say, here's the date of this announcement or here's the date of the news. So even when you're like, okay, well, JJ, I don't know if that helps me because I don't know the last time they updated it. Yeah, but here's the key. The great thing is, since we're in a new year, when you're now looking, and I'm just chuckling because it kind of makes it easier, but when you're now looking at the IRS website, if it shows an update in 2021, okay, that's going to be the most recent. I do know there's a main page on the IRS website related to the employee retention credit where the IRS was kind enough to put a big yellow message that said, the law's been updated, these FAQs may not be up to date, therefore check back. Well, how do you know that it has been updated? Again, go to the bottom. So as you're searching for your information related to this, the forms, instructions, and whether it's this or as you move forward, that's a little tip to ensure that you're using the most accurate or most up-to-date information. So really stay tuned. Be sure that you're subscribed to my channel. Be sure that you have the notifications on because I'm expecting a flurry of emails. Why do I always say that? Videos that are going to be coming out of my channel. The information that I've provided and is still up, you can rock and roll with it, but I'm now waiting for just all that to get the final word on the grant in terms of how it's going to happen, the forgiveness, the simplification form, the actual certification. When we have that, boom, when we know how to actually file for the employee retention credit, if you've already filed for 941, the PPP second draw, the information's out, the rules are out, the emails, the videos that I've put together, you can go and check those out. The seminars that I've done, I've got a seminar that goes over all of these things. I've got a seminar that goes over then just the PPP. And know this, the seminars that I've done that you can go and watch the videos, they're good to go, okay? As it relates to the PPP, those calculations and how to calculate it and step by step are in those videos. As it relates to the forgiveness, it's in those videos. As it relates to the credits, it's how to calculate it step by step, okay? What forms to put it on. So we are just waiting for just that last thing, but it doesn't mean you should be waiting on PPP1 application first draw. If you have not gotten PPP, you should not be waiting on PPP to apply for PPP2. We have all that info. As it relates to filing for forgiveness, I think if you haven't filed and you're an employer, should absolutely wait until the IRS and the SBA clarify what we're doing, because if you're 100 or less employees and now 500 or less employees, there's no way that you don't qualify for that employee retention tax credit. So lots of just final things to come out, but you can still take action of figuring out what your tax credits are. You can take action by letting your payroll company know that you're coming to credits. And then when we say wait, I'm not sure what the case is. I was on I don't even know what you'd call it. It was not a podcast because it was a video, a Zoom, whatever, with a panel. And, when you hear the word wait, I don't know why everybody thinks that we're talking about waiting a very long time. Here's the thing to note. I think this week, okay, the week of, the 18th of January, the bow's going to break because PPP2 is wide open for everybody. PPP1's wide open for everybody. We'll know about most likely the IRS as it relates to this, because the IRS indicated that Form 7200 department's on hold till January 21st. Well, that's coming on Thursday. The SBA is going to be coming out. Here's how the grants are going to be funded, if you will, coming back. There's going to be a lot of good, great information coming out. So stay tuned, notifications on. Hey, I've missed doing some of the videos. What I've been doing is all of my clients, we already have their employee retention tax credits figured out. The Form 7200, it is ready to rock. The Form 7200 department's not processing anything till the 21st. So for us, we have it ready to go. We're going to make sure that somehow there's not some new minor update, but for all of our clients, none of them have filed Form 941 for fourth quarter. So Form 7200 is the way for our clients. All of my clients have already filed and applied for PPP2. None of my clients need to reapply. And then as it relates to the grant, I think that that's just now waiting for the SBA to contact us. And what does that all mean to you? And I even got past my January 15th deadline. Okay. What does that mean for you? That means that I'll be 100% focused on tracking all these little new pieces of information that are going to be coming out to be putting together videos for you. Now, I'm hearing that there are those that would like to have some more how-to videos with the whiteboard and things to that effect. So I'm going to be doing that. When this video becomes obsolete, I will take it down. That's one of the things that's different with my channel, is that I don't just leave videos up. But with that being said, for those of you that have made it to here, you're clearly a subscriber and you enjoy this channel, and I love you. I hope you're doing well. But I did a ton of seminars in 10 days straight. And if you were a part of that, I appreciate it. If you want to see any of those videos, again, the link's in the body of this. But on the 8th of January, I did 2 videos that were 3 to 4 hours with Q&A on the eve of Friday the 8th. I answered questions till about 11:30 p.m. live, and then I did 2 seminars with live Q&A on Saturday the 9th, which were, I also think, 3+ hour seminars. I did a seminar on the Sunday the 10th. I did 2 seminars on Monday the 11th, and then I did a seminar panel on the 11th for an attorney group. And then I did 2 seminars that I wrote and presented to North Texas on behalf of the SBA. And that was on Wednesday, the 13th. And then I taught an 8-hour seminar on Thursday, the 14th. And I taught an 8-hour seminar on Friday, the 15th, both of those to a group of CPAs out of Texas, Austin, Texas. So anyways, I got some sleep, a lot of it. Done some videos for those of you that are really paying attention to the channel, which I really appreciate. Coop and I didn't post our 10 video series last week. There was just too much going on, too much fury. We have those videos ready to go. I don't know that I'm going to release them tomorrow because of all the other things that are going on as well. So that has just been minorly put on pause. And so anyways, taking a breather because I feel like next week with all of the things and how things are going to work together, and especially with that employee retention credit that every employer should be qualifying for of the size that I indicated. So lots to come. So I thought I would just touch base with you on this. I definitely have given you information to help regardless of understanding what you're waiting on, what you want to get ready, understanding the difference between the first draw and the second draw. So hopefully you got something out of this. If you're not a subscriber and you've made it to here, clearly you're intrigued. Do me a favor, click it. All right, don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. Have a great one.